Tuesday, June 23rd, the Giants back home. They're taking on what we would call their crosstown rivals, even though it's a little further up north. Big win tonight, great pitching performance, but still it seems, and Lou Marsden, my co-host on tonight's show, he was at the ballpark. He's going to chime in on something that is more than baseball. People weren't talking baseball at the ballpark tonight. Why? Find out, and we'll talk about it, dissect it next on this Tuesday edition of Giants Sports Talk Live.
And now, Giants Sports Talk Live. Here are your hosts, Eric and Glenn.
Well, you guys know how that song goes anyway. We're back to the ballpark for baseball at Oracle, Willie Mays Plaza. Here we go. All right, I'm Glenn. He is Big Lou. We are, we're doing the show on our own tonight. Eric taking a night off tonight. He is on, let's call it assignment. I don't know what he's doing, but he's on assignment, Lou, somewhere out there. Tonight would have been a good night to have him here. We got a lot to talk about. You were at Oracle tonight. Tremendous pitching. Let's talk about Lou. I don't know how long we're going to be able to do this, but let's talk some baseball at the start of the show. Actual baseball, the product, not giveaways and not talk about stuff that doesn't relate to baseball itself. And ironically, folks, isn't it ironic? Devers bobblehead doll day is Saturday. We'll have more to talk about. Lou, 3-1 win, great pitching. What'd you think at the park tonight, pal?
Good crowd. A lot of A's fans. I will tell you, it's probably 35 to 40% A's fans. They were out in droves. It was Mexican Heritage tonight. I was with my guest who owned Tommy's Bar, including the official owner. She's 93 years old, was out there. We were sitting in my seats. There were dancers everywhere. Everything was good. And, you know, we saw a great performance by Ray. Total command. His friend popped up a couple times, the double play ball. But overall, after a 3-1 win, a little worrisome because they took probably one of our best players out, and Mr. Lee, after hitting a dramatic, a 430-foot shot to center field. It was unbelievable. He then had two problems. He got hit on a foul ball where his right foot was completely covered, and the only area that wasn't covered was part of his bone. He got a foul ball there. Then he got on first base, and he stole, and there was a play at second base that sort of looked like he was down. It was sort of hard to see what happened, but he left the game. And I thought maybe it was because of something happened with the play at second with his face, but he left because of his ankle. And I can't remember Lee actually leaving, and it was an inning later, and I was sort of surprised, and he left, and now he's day-to-day, and the Giants need Lee. You know, we only have a few guys that are consistent, and Lee was very important in the lineup. But most importantly, a nice 3-1 win. Ray gave him 8 innings. He walked 4. The Giants actually, because of Devers, got a nice insurance run. But, you know, guys like, I will say one person that didn't have a good night and probably wish he didn't come in to the ballpark was Chapman. Chapman did get a double, but he was a single, but he was thrown up by 50 feet. And beside that, he struck out 3 times. So another tough game for him at the caboose. But, you know, after having a day off yesterday, it was nice to see the Giants back in the win circle. And Ray performed great. You know, he was struck out a few guys, but most importantly, he had a good rhythm and he was in control the whole game. Something the Giants desperately needed.
You don't sound as salty as usual, Lou. You're talking about a big win. I understand it was great pitching, but my friend, don't forget the quality of the club we're talking about. A win's a win, Lou. But we got a long way to go, and I don't think
Long way to go.
I don't think we're going to achieve what we want this season, Lou.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I'm going to give credit. As you read below me, I think they should trade Ray ASAP. The reason why is he's now had 2 great performances. He's never going to be higher. And when you get someone like Lee that gets injured, for a pitcher, it just takes one throw. So you have the opportunity now. And again, yeah, the Giants aren't going anywhere, but it's not going to matter. Trade Ray now, because you know what? 2 weeks ago, he was useless. You couldn't get a box of rocks. Now, maybe he's coming around. You got to get rid of him now. And I think it's one of those things where Giants got to start making moves. I mean, obviously, after, we're going to go through the box, we're going to talk a little bit more because, tell you the truth, Glenn, when I arrived waiting for my party, there was not one, but 2 camera angles, 2 camera people out there interviewing. Of course, we had the Buster interview. And to tell you the truth, everyone wasn't talking about Devers. They were talking about other things. And I thought what was sort of key is when Devers first came at bat, I don't know if anybody noticed it, they didn't announce him. So you didn't have a chance to boo. He just came up and hit. They did not announce Rafael Devers the first time at bat. And somebody goes,
wait a second. Do you feel that was you were there, Lou? So I must ask, was that a structured play on
I thought it was working. Somebody says, God, I thought they'd boo him. I go, they didn't even announce him.
Interesting.
So it was just something that caught my eye. Maybe, who knows? But I did notice that because I wanted to be in there. I wanted to hear the reaction with Devers. There were still a couple of Devers jerseys out there, but it was sort of weird how that happened. Again, who knows? I saw Larry Baird doing his usual, smiling halfway through talking to somebody else when somebody should have said, dude, you should have said something. Why didn't you have a press conference? You're the CEO of the San Francisco Giants, you loser. They were embarrassed on national TV, embarrassed about and again, it's 2 different things right now that the Giants are on MLB Network, but they didn't talk about anything about Devers. I thought today that we'll talk more about. It was just another problem in the Larry Bear bullshit society, as you call it, Glenn. I forgot the particular name, but this team's going nowhere. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They won tonight, but it was a very soft 3 runs. Let me put it that way, like usual.
I think you're referring to the LLBS, the LBBS, the Larry Bear bullshit.
Yep.
Lou, 3-1 win today. We're holding our lead. We're not the worst team in baseball, Lou, by a game because the Boston Red Sox beat Colorado today by a score of 5-2. So we're not the worst, but when you start having to say, well, we're not the worst because we're 1 game ahead of them, it's Colorado, Lou. We are a Colorado. That is the problem. Now, let's just jump into it before I want to do this before we get into, if we even do, we have to review the plays of the day. We'll get to the stats in a minute, but you brought up Devers. There are 2 topics, Devers and the Pride Night, which seem to be front and center. People are talking about this on MLB Network, on the radio broadcasts of the cities that we're playing against. So if you listen to radio in Sacramento, you listen to the radio games in Atlanta, and so on. Those cities, they're not talking about the Giants, their lineup, the way we're playing. They're not even talking about how bad we are. They're talking about all this off-field shenanigans. And one of them, of course, we've talked about it the other day, and we were on immediately following the incident. That was, we call it the Devers incident. So, Lou, Buster Posey sat down in the dugout today with the media, and he wanted to discuss some things. What the hell was he even talking about? Now, here's Posey on Rafael Devers, and I want you to pay close attention, and I'm going to say something at the end of it, Lou. Guys, here's Buster Posey on the Devers situation. Pay close attention, really, to what he's not saying.
Yeah, you could tell he's frustrated. I mean, look, the way the season's gone, everybody's frustrated, and I think that's a byproduct of frustration. And I haven't spoken to Rafi directly, but I know Tony has talked to him, and he can share more with you. But I know they had a good conversation after the game, And it kind of reminded me, it's not exactly the same, but I remember an incident with Casilla in Arizona one time, coming off the mound with Boch. And gosh, I mean, sometimes in the heat of the moment, you're battling, you want to win a game so bad, stuff comes out and happens probably that you would rather it not happen. But I think about Casilla, it's one of my favorite people in all the whole world, and one of my favorite teammates. And so we're all prone to have missteps at times.
Lou, did you hear? And I can play it again, guys. I can play it again. Don't make me play it again. He says, I haven't even spoken to Devers. Is that a misstep, Lou?
Well, first of all, in the conversation, he said that Tony V spoke to him. But if you
Tony
noticed,
Tony sat the entire flight with Devers. They sat on the plane together. So I guess they did hash some things out post-game. That was on the
and
flight
I think
home.
that happened because of the embarrassment of the original post-game that Tony V did. Oh, well, we talk daily. Not like, hey, have you spoken to him? So I was unaware that they sat on the flight. Here's my thing. What is Buster's job? He is president of baseball operations. If you're not going to talk about that with a problem player, especially where you've seen it before, you shouldn't even have that title. Right. Second of all, there's another player that happened, and I don't know if you guys remember, but when the year that Buster got injured, they bought in the offseason, they bought in Miguel Tejada. And Tejada was asked to bunt in a situation sort of like this to get the runner over. And he basically, for the first swing, he tried to hit a home run. And they asked him to bunt again. He put the bunt down. But basically, he then was told, hey, by the third base coach, when I give you a signal, you fucking follow it. And he said, yeah, whatever. And he walked by and he walked right into the thing. And when they interviewed him, he goes, hey, I do whatever it takes to win, but I'm not here to bunt. It was a total embarrassment. And you know what happened? He was released the next day. I think the problem is with Devers making such a bank load, they don't know what to do. And if people are going to let this go by, there'll be others. Same thing with Ramos last year when he had the problems. Yeah. Nothing. Not even a tap on there. And, I know Eric brought up a great point. Yeah, it was Father's Day. But everybody in the major league is talking about it. If you guys think that was bad, you should see guys that aren't working on the Giants' dollar. They had a great one. Will Clark's, what is it? No Plastic or whatever. Will Clark and what's his name show? He went off. Burns went off, said it was a disgrace, said it was some of the worst penmanship. I mean, the first friendship I've ever seen. He goes, anybody else would have been fired, dismissed. I think the Giants are too scared. And again, I don't think Buster has the kahunas to do anything to make himself look bad.
Nope. They're a weak team. They're a weak team, Lou. They're a weak team on the field, and certainly, in my opinion, a weak team off the field. The fact that, well, Lou, I'm not going to ask you this as a question, but I pose this out there. Why did he even sit down with the media today? Because they didn't really talk about anything. Well, we're gonna get some feedback on the Devers situation, right? Well, I haven't even spoken to him. Well, so you throw that out the window. The other thing I wasn't going to dive into, but we have to, Lou, is the Pride Night situation. The Pride Night situation, again, why do I have to turn on ESPN and Fox Sports 1 and the MLB Network, which covers specifically Major League Baseball, Lou? And what are they talking about? The Giants and the Pride Night. And then you got the commissioner sending letters to, what was it? I don't know if it was the mayor's office, Lou, or what are we doing here? Buster Posey came out. First thing, Lou, the media, it's all they wanted to, they didn't even want to talk about Devers, Lou. They wanted to find out what the hell's going on because this seems to be a cutting-edge story in what we will call an LGBTQ plus community, San Francisco. It's front and center, Lou. So what did Posey have to say?
I'd like to recognize that the organization has shared its response to Pride Night, and I understand that there's strong feelings on this topic. There's differing perspectives, and out of respect to everybody involved, it's not something that I'm going to revisit. I understand that some fans are upset and frustrated, and I can promise you this is something that we've talked about a lot internally and will continue to do so.
All right, thanks, Buster, for that. You really didn't answer any questions that I had. We've talked about it internally. Well, what was the response to those conversations? Who was among the masses of these conversations? Where do you move forward from it? Well, we don't want to. Basically, he says, I'm not talking about it. I don't want to talk about it. It's over, done with. They cannot continue to brush things under the rug, so to speak, Lou, like you were touching on. Like, what do we the Devers situation, that situation, others this year, Lou? They just brush it under. Give it 3 or 4 days. You know, this team is so bad, Lou. There'll be another farce we got to deal with in a couple of days. People will forget this one. But you were again at the ballpark tonight. That's why I'm going down this slippery slope. I played that clip because he didn't answer any questions. And meanwhile, if we were to play, guys, I invite you to go check out if you can find the entire interview if you didn't catch it earlier today when it was broadcast in various outlets. Buster Posey adamantly said, I'm not talking about it. 6 of the next 7 questions, Lou, from the media were on that topic. And then he had the media, I don't know who would fall under the media spokesman umbrella. He said, guys, gals, Susan Slusser was there, so I can't forget her. Can't forget Susan, Lou. The media spokesman said, guys, if you keep going down this road, it's over. He's not answering. So again, he started the interview with that. Then he didn't even say much about Devers. First of all, Lou, before we get into that Posey clip, here's my question. Why the hell do you even sit down in the dugout and do this? What was the meat and potatoes of this conversation today, Lou?
Yeah, I thought the interview was about the Devers situation, and I think most fans thought about it, and he might have been blindsided. Obviously, when I went to the game today, I met some friends at the Willie Mae statue, and there wasn't one, but there were 2 TV cameras. And I thought it was just there because of the Sacramento A's, but there was one guy for national news, and then there was one for somebody out of Sacramento. And they didn't really care about the fans or anything. It was all about that. That's all they talked about. I actually had someone –
the Pride Night,
yeah,
correct?
Pride Night. I had somebody come up to me and says, hey, do you mind talking about it? And, I gave my 2 cents, and, he's a YouTube guy, and I looked up, and on his hat, he had a giant hat with the exact same Genesis thing, and I don't understand why we're talking about this 2 weeks later. It's not like this happened 48 hours ago. This happened last homestand. Not only did it happen last homestand, it was literally a Friday, Tuesday, so we're talking 14 days. This is the problem. You had Mike Krukow talk about it when he's a broadcaster. Should never even spoken about it. He's the one that started doing everything. Then you had the young Kuiper who does the show with Alex. He spoke about it. Not the Giants. They did. Then it's now 14 days later. They're still talking about it. But here's the problem. Nothing got resolved. That interview actually probably created more chaos.
Yes.
And the other thing is it's almost like people are talking about that where they're not talking about the Devers problem. So now you have 2 big things that are colliding, and you have a team that's almost the worst team in the league. This is where if you have a normal organization, they realize you're getting heat from all angles. They should have had a press conference with other owners, Larry Baer, and done it open. It's one of those things. You got to take care of it, because if you say, oh, we spoke about internally, don't worry about it, it's going to be more of a story. I'm sorry, Glenn, but Buster it's almost like he doesn't know what to say because he's too scared. I don't know what's going on, but it's bad. It's really bad. And, I think, one of the things that Buster needs to do is, hey, that's your job title, dude. You get paid to put a quality product on, which you haven't. You have an opportunity to make us successful. You haven't. You made us worse. And when something happens to the team, that's your job. And I think the other thing is someone must have told him right before the interview, hey, just so you know, they're going to be talking about the Pride Night, and he was ill prepared for it. I really think so, because I think he was all ready to talk about the Devers thing, saying, hey, Tony V spoke to him. We've all gone through this. He had an example, and let's move on and try to win some games. But I think he was blindsided, and I think his rep, who was that little puny guy, telling him, hey, if you're not going to ask him about it, well, sorry, that's the biggest news because he never answered it to begin with.
Lou, it's his job. It's his job, Lou. You said he's the player baseball operations director. These are baseball operations things. Baseball operations just aren't the on-field, Lou. It is these giveaway days, and it is these special occasions, Lou. Why are we not having Republican night at the ballpark, Lou? Why are we not having Democratic night? Why do you keep, Lou, anything where the masses join? You don't alienate through politics, religion, or sexuality, in my opinion. You go down the Major League Baseball, all the sports, Lou. They went down this road, Lou. They opened up a can of worms, my friend.
Yep.
They opened up a can of worms. It's their own fault. I blame them. I always blame them all. You know what? It's like the Giants, right? Major League Baseball, you brought this on yourself. I can see and I think there's, what is it, another offense? It's $1,000 fine. Players are going to thumb their nose at that. Say Devers was to do it tomorrow, Lou. Devers just say, boys, join me. I'll pay for Ollie $1,000. Let me get the calculator out for that one on my payday. Who cares, right? These are inconsequential moves. Anyway, it's a touchy subject, Lou.
It is. But did you see a Giant season ticket holder said, I will pay for the 4 guys being fined?
I did.
Mr. Comedian Rob Schneider, who's a Giant season ticket holder.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Giants don't even do anything. It's just another problem of this year. And Glenn, I went to a guy and said, can you believe we still got a whole half a season? And look what we've already gone through the first part of the season. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Maybe the Giants have hit rock bottom, but until somebody gets kahunas and do something, it's just going to keep going on and on and on. It's just a bad relationship. It's bad. So
I don't even know why they have this particular day. I don't know why they have this day, Lou. I don't know why they do so many giveaway days. What happened to going to the ballpark for baseball, Lou?
That's the perfect thing. I had a guy behind me, and he said, Lou, do you think there's going to be a season next year? I said, no. And he goes, I'm not paying the Giants a penny until I know I'm going to see baseball. And, he went through, he sits right behind me, and he owns 24 tickets. He goes, what do I get? What do I get a benefit of having 24 tickets? The Giants don't give me any benefit. They don't give me something. The Giants don't make it, because it used to be a destination, Oracle Park. You used to enjoy Oracle Park. You had no giveaways. You got to see a great baseball team, and you had fun. Now it's a joke. It's tough. There's no parking. There's more vendors selling hot dogs after the games than vendors actually working the games. That's a problem.
That's true, Lou. Anyway,
and we got a couple super chats too. So
yeah, I'm going to get to those. I did want to do one quick thing before we get to the super chats and continue our conversation on this Monday night, Lou. I wanted to talk about some baseball, Lou. Let's talk some baseball, Lou. 3-1 final score today. There it is. The Giants are, wow, Lou, the 32-46 Giants, and they're only 15-20 at home. They're only 5 games under 500 at home, Lou. That's why we play the games, Lou. 3-1 final. The A's more like a 500 ball club. Something we don't know much about it. Robbie Ray, 8 innings, 2-hit ball. Look at that, Lou. Nice line. 8 with 2 hits. Didn't give up. No earned runs. 6 Ks and 4 walks. Could have seen a few more Ks in there, but Lou, we got to take that. A 2-hit game like that through 8. They go to the pen for Killian, gave up a hit, made it a 3-hit A's night, and the Giants get the win. Of course, pitcher for the A's gave up that long ball. Have you ever seen a guy as puny? No offense intended there, Jung-Hoo, but a guy as puny as Jung-Hoo Lee giving pointers to Rafi Devers. Here's how you put one in the 415 club. It went 414 feet. You were there, Lou.
It was a boom. In fact, I looked down at Adames and said, "Oh my God!" It cleared it easy too. Speaking of the 415, I got to throw something out. I didn't like what they did tonight. They had that section 415, love 510. I don't know if anyone noticed that. They had both 415 and then a heart 510, like, "Hey, A's, we love you. This is for all of us," which I didn't understand because we're in San Francisco. The A's didn't do anything when we played them up there. But yeah, I thought it was, to tell you the truth, Lee was all around game. The A's scored because Lee dropped one in right center where he ran about 50 yards and the ball went in and out. So that's how they scored their run. Then he hit the homer and then he got injured. It was unbelievable. But, Lee today, and of course when you go to the games and Lee hits a homer, you got to hear that chant every time for the next 5 minutes. But he was a star performer tonight.
Right on. 2 for 3 today. He scored a run with the long bomb loose. We had the RBI. I'm sorry, I said 2. 2 for 3, a run, RBI, 331 average. Let's take it from the top. Arise got injured when a ball fouled off his foot. He actually he pulled a Devers. I'm not coming out of the game, but he eventually had to. He had a hard time even getting to first base when he laced a base hit. So he goes 1 for 2 before coming out. And look at that nice lofty 321 average. Cox, small sample size, 353, but he was 0 for 2. Eldridge, an 0 for Lou, but he did score a run because he got on base. He picked up the walk. He did strike out twice. That's to be expected with this guy. He's going to strike out a lot. Let's see him get more plate at bats. Let's get him more plate appearances, see what he can do, turn that around. But, nice start. Nice start for Eldridge, young Eldridge, 21 years old, doing a fine job. Yep. Casey Schmidt now, 7 games in a row that he has laced 2 hits or more in a game. He goes 2 for 4 today, batting at a 300 clip there. Devers, he was 1 for 4 with an RBI. Lee I mentioned Willie Adames, 2 for 4. It was a quiet 2 for 4, in my opinion. He got one lucky out there in center field.
Yeah, very lucky.
Chapman 1 for 4. He doesn't thrill me. He's like Webb. He's like Webb, Lou. We talked about it on the weekend. He's like Webb. I don't line up at the ticket window saying, I must see Adames and Chapman today. Susak, 0 for 4. He's coming back down to earth. Ray was the story of the night, Lou. 2 hits over 8. Killian closes it up. A's get 3 hits. And my pal celebrated his birthday, Robbie Dizzle. Happy birthday to you. Robbie, hope you had a great week. And all the fathers, hope you had a great Father's Day. But I will say, Lou, that you know what? I'm not going to poo-poo on it. How about that? I'll just say a 3-1 win. They did enough to get the win. When you get a pitching performance like this, I mean, that's how they won this game. It certainly wasn't with their offensive prowess.
Glenn, it's probably been about 6 weeks since both of us were positive about a Giants win.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so we'll give them that. We'll give them our one take for until tomorrow.
All right, let's get to the super chats because they keep the lights on, and we appreciate each and every person who does send one our way. Fuji Simeon, big fan of the show. We're big fans of Fuji. $4.99. Thank you so much. Happy to have the win. Looking forward to the seats this Saturday. Lou came through on Tommy's Day. Thanks again to Giant Sports Talk Live. Anything I need to know about the seats in advance, Lou? Take it away.
Well, first of all, you have a special entrance called the Shield, and when you go through the Shield, they will have a bobblehead for you. The great thing about this section is you don't need to get there 3 hours early. Once you have the seats, which of course you have in your ballpark app, you walk in. There's in the Shield, there's a place to sit down. You actually go to the bar. You show them that you have a ticket for the game, and the cocktail is on Glenn, taken care of. And you basically will be able to have a cocktail for free with the tickets. And then you're in an area that has unlimited sodas, Cracker Jacks, peanuts, everything like that. And most importantly is once you take the tickets, you walk to section 124 down. You're in the front row right next to the players. As Glenn knows, when he was there last year, he loved it. He got a foul ball. He got a home run ball. He didn't even want to leave. There you go. It was that much fun. And you feel pretty special.
There's a lid of the dugout, Lou.
Yep.
There's a lid.
I got behind it.
And just so he knows, if he hasn't seen them, I'm sure he has.
Yep.
There you are. You are. There's Willie.
And Ramos. Yep.
There's a Flores. We haven't had a Flores sighting for a while, Lou. I had to bring that one up. So he's in for a real treat, Lou.
Yeah. Fuge, enjoy yourself. And do me a favor. Take some photos.
Yeah.
And then after the game, maybe like the day after or something, I want you to enjoy yourself. Don't rush back. But maybe on Sunday or maybe next week, show some photos for the people. And we're glad you came and we're glad you won. So
appreciate
I love donating, and you're a fan. You're part of the show, and nothing better than when we do something that someone from the show, from our chat, wins and gets a chance to see what me and Glenn love, Giants baseball and baseball in general live.
Fuji, good friend of the show. He sat down at the big table in the back, and good kid. So thank you for tuning in nightly. Anthony's back. Anthony Millard, thank you. $5. The Giants will win here and there, Lou. We all know that. They're going to win even the bad teams win about 30% of their games, Lou. The stinkers, they still win their 50, 60, 70 games, right? But not enough to matter in the scheme of things. And it's showing, Lou, showing in the wins and losses, and it's showing, Lou, in the standings.
Yep. And then here's another thing. We have one more chat from somebody that isn't a Giants fan.
Yeah, it's our pal, Justin. Yep. Justin listens to WEEI radio. WEEI serving Massachusetts, Vermont, surrounding areas. WEEI here in Boston. Everybody's embarrassed by now he's not even a Red Sox anymore, Lou. They're just embarrassed by this guy. They were embarrassed when he was a Red Sox. They're embarrassed for the Giant fans and the organization. But Lou, you get what you pay for. It was no secret, and Justin will tell you, it was no secret that he was reportedly a cancer in the dressing room. He was overpaid. He wanted to do it my way. We saw that Sunday. Lou, they got what they pay for. And now, like you say earlier in the show, and we've talked about it time and time again already, this season, Lou, with the trade deadline coming up, they're in a situation where they can't even move a guy like this.
Yeah, it's sort of crazy. A good friend of mine about 2 years ago said this: the Giants won 3-5, and they're sold to the devil. Because just look what's happened since the 3-5 years. They had a mirage in 2021 where they lost the first round. People think like we made it to the World Series. No, we didn't. Even we had 107 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Since 2016, we haven't had a winning second half of the season except for 2021. Not one. And here we are stuck with 3 huge contracts. And most importantly, it's not even the bulk or the length of the contracts of guys that nobody else in the league wants. Do you think anybody wants to put up with this crap with Devers? Do you think anybody wants to sign Kratman when tonight again he was out by 50 feet trying to stretch into a double play because he thought it was out? He didn't look at the ball. He looked at the ball instead of just running. Then he struck out 3 times. And then you got Adames, who I didn't see the postgame when he won, but of course he got his Gatorade and juice. Who cares, dude? You got to start hitting. You're the highest paid Giant. So the Giants, there you go. Werewolves, I think a Satan bobblehead night, that would make the news. It'd be perfect for the Giants because it's bad. And here it is. We talk about this nightly. What is the solution? Nobody wants to trade Webb, even though he's our best piece. Well, we're not going to be able to trade the big three, maybe one, but we're going to be stuck with these guys. And here's the other problem. If we don't have baseball next year, we're going to have them in 2028. They're going to be 2 years older.
It's true. It's true. And I think you must have done this earlier in the broadcast. I didn't even catch you, Lou. I didn't even catch you. But, of course, the French gal, she's quick to say that, don't you guys even pay attention? I can hear it, just to hear it in her voice. Arias got hit in the foot, which I stated. Yeah. And Lee got I thought we covered this. And Lee got thrown out. Or not thrown out, stole second base, Lou. He pulled the pretzel move again. He pulled another pretzel. So I don't know what the French gal's talking about, but, she doesn't chime in often, but when she does, I can't figure it out. Talking about the trade deadline. That'll be the next thing we're going to be talking about, Lou, on baseball.
5 weeks.
You got Arias now hurt. Uh-oh. Hopefully nothing too serious. We don't want can't afford injuries now, Lou, especially these guys that might be on the trade block. Buster did say in the little press conference, I don't even know what the scrum. It wasn't even a press conference, Lou. It was just he sits down. And did you ever notice something about when he speaks to you, Lou? Something when I studied communications in university. And the first day, you know what they teach you, Lou? They teach you how to be a man when you confront someone or you're in an interview process. You stick your hand out with a firm handshake and say, "Good afternoon, Mr. Marsden. My name is Glenn." Buster always talks like this. He sounds like the quiet, shy kid in the back of the room. How is he? He doesn't seem to exude power in his leadership role, Lou.
He's become a wimp.
Am I off base? Does that matter, or do you just see me like he sounds like the wimp in the wimpy kid in the school?
He's sort of like the opposite of Robert Rothberg. He gets all ready, and I know Glenn, but it's just that way. It's like, wait a minute, you were a leader as a player. Be a leader running the organization. If you can't do that, what the hell is wrong with you? He has no sack.
Is that in the chat, Lou? Was that in the chat? Did I miss one?
No.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I just think he's gotten to the point where, you told the interview, hey, listen, I'm not going to be really talking about that. Well, dude, then why did you even say? He's the one that called the press conference at 2. It wasn't the other way around. That's the problem. And that's sort of the Giants in the hole. It's pathetic.
Yeah, and Lou, he calls the press conference or the gig or the scrum, we used to call it when I was working hockey. He calls the media scrum. It's in the dugout, Lou. Very unprofessional, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And he starts by saying, I'm not talking about this, and I'm not discussing this. And he's got his little peon saying, if you guys keep talking about that, it's game over for Buster today. So why did they even call? Like you made you brought it up earlier, Lou. Great statement. Why did he even do this? What purpose did this solve today, other than create more question marks?
It's bad. He, like I said, I don't know if he got blindsided, but he was ill prepared. It's one of those things. Oh yeah, guys, and Susak right now is, again, we keep talking about it where, we probably have seen 5 or 6 young guys for the Giants the last couple of years that come up and they have their flavor of the month. And then all of a sudden, it's almost like they've fallen off the tree limb. Susak can't hit anything right now. He's like intimidated because the pitchers have figured it out. That's why, it's going to probably take Eldridge a couple of years because people are realizing he struck on a pitch tonight, Eldridge, where it was embarrassing. And he was frustrated himself. Like he was thinking, here's a fastball. It was a high slider. He only missed it by 30 feet. But you got to remember, guys, other teams' job are to get your best out. If you succeed 3 out of 10 times, you're good. But we keep thinking because of what happened the last month, Eldridge is here. Eldridge isn't here yet. He's still learning. Okay, he hasn't seen all these pitchers. It's gotten to the point now where we're expecting Eldridge, again, to be like Will Clark was in the NL Championship Series. Let Eldridge be Eldridge. He's got to learn the players. The other thing, too, is he's batting second, right? When you have
Mhm.
Casey batting 320, Eldridge is going to get his pitches. What's going to happen when Casey goes in a slump where
Good
he
call.
doesn't have the protection?
Yeah, good point.
I just want to say it. And again, we want Eldridge to be successful. But when Eldridge, goes 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts, but he scores a run, we're going to give it to you because you guys keep making him like he bats 3 for 4. The
That's
best
correct.
2 players right now on the Giants, Eldridge is not one of them. Okay? He's not one of them, which is not a problem. The guy's young.
Mhm.
Okay? But you got to say, Lee, Arias, and Casey are the 3 bigwigs. Okay? I don't want to hear about Eldridge, possible rookie of the year. Let Eldridge be Eldridge. Okay? Let Eldridge have a great year, and I'll be happy if he bats 280, maybe 10 RBI, 10 home runs. Okay? Let him go because you know what's going to happen? He will be 80% better next year if there's a season.
Yeah.
And then in 2 years, he's going to be 300 times better than he was this year.
Lou, he's having a good season, called up a little later on in the year. I thought he'd start the year, to be honest with you. I thought that was the play. Obviously not. As far as Eldridge, again, Lou, why are we even talking about an Eldridge? He's playing decent ball. He's not winning you games night in and night out. We should be talking and praising the play of Schmidt.
Yeah.
And Lee.
Yep.
These guys do it game in, game out, and their averages come into play, Lou. They're proven. They do it.
Yeah, they're proven.
Lou, guys, thanks for joining us tonight on a Tuesday night. Glenn and Big Lou Marston. Don't forget our sponsors over at Lefties, where on June the 19th, you can join them for a meet and greet with Caitlin Chen of our beloved Golden State Valkyries. Caitlin will be on location, on assignment at Lefties in Burlingame, so join them at Lefties June 19th. Get your tickets by contacting Lefties online or give them a call today.
Wait a minute, Glenn?
Nobody's there right now.
Yeah,
let me
Glenn,
finish, Lou.
Did we already miss it? Because you said June 19th. It's June 23rd.
Let me make that July 19th. Lou.
All right, there we go. I just want to make sure.
Hey,
Sorry.
you know what the girls are saying in the chat? We don't pay attention. So
yeah, I got it.
Lo and behold, Lou, I made a mistake again. Duxwell Printing, where they'll do your printing jobs 24 hours a day just to get them out the door and make you a happy customer. BetterCreditCards.com. And Lou, after talking about freaking Pride Night and talking about Devers, but celebrating a 3-1 victory, I think it's time to head down to our favorite getaway. There you go. Visit them at Tommy's. I know you had a pleasure tonight. A true honor and pleasure, Lou, to be hanging out with the veteran staff at Tommy's.
Yeah,
but on location tonight. They took it out on the road tonight, Lou.
Yep. It was sort of funny. We were at the Giants pregame having a couple beers, and of course the mom, who's 93 years old, said, "Lou."
She was wearing her orange too. I saw her in the pictures.
Can you get me some tea and make sure it's got a little something in there? So I had to come back and said, "Listen, they only have Jose Cuervo." She goes, "They got nothing else?" And I go, "No." She goes, "All right, I'll just take the tea and then give me some white wine." So
there you go.
She was there. She was loving life. In fact, it was so good that I got to give my props to Greg, who's sort of my ticket rep, came down and said, hey, I hear we have the owner of Tommy's here, met her, and says, we want to give you a blanket. We want to give you the special blanket we gave away. We want to give you mittens and everything. So they made her feel very comfortable. So thanks, Greg, for helping out. And it was just a really cool thing because they're out of their element. You know, I see them a lot at the restaurant, and then they said they had a fantastic time. And, you know, it's tough when you own a business. You know, Glenn, you own all these radio stations, but she loved it because it was Mexican heritage. She is so into it. She still is bright as a tack. Loved it. She couldn't wait. She said, Lou, thank you. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow when Mexico plays World Cup. Please come by, but thank you. So, you know, that's all I want. And it made me feel good. You know, it was, she's the original owner, 93 years old. As we all know, Tommy's just celebrated their 60th anniversary.
Nice.
I just hope I can be like her, Glenn, and live to 93 years old.
There you go. And hey, tip of the hat tonight on the show, Lou, to Greg there. Greg must have been brought up in a good home. Unlike the Giants, Lou.
Yeah.
Looking after his elders, making them feel at home. I appreciate that, Greg, and everybody there who made her feel welcome. Big crowd on hand, too, Lou. What was the weather like? It looked a little looked mid-game like a lot of the fog was rolling in late tonight.
Yeah, you know, you can tell people that maybe drove from Sacramento or San Jose, they're the ones that have a real thin parka. You know, that's not how it is. People, if you've never been to Oracle Park, you're a block away from the ocean, okay? And it's always windy at night. So it was pretty cold. I don't think there was 40,000 there. I know the bleachers were full. I'd say there was probably about 33,000. You know, it was one of those things. And but, you know, what I did want to bring up about the Tommy's people is they were showing the NBA draft inside postgame.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden you hear, excuse me, you know, out of nowhere. Can you put on the World Cup game, please? Nobody gives a crap about NBA draft. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, ma'am. Please put on the World Cup game. And they put all 3 TVs for her. That's respect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, Lou. Of course,
your question.
Nobody watches the NBA. It's all about the W now.
Yeah.
I got you watching the W. Lou is online right now. He's getting his tickets to meet Caitlin Chen on July the 19th. Let's see. Lou, Giants, they win a game back at Oracle Park, 5 games under 500 at home. But this ball club is underdogs tomorrow night. Can I give you one guess why they are underdogs entering a game on a Wednesday, hump day, against the A's? It's
got to be because of who our starter is.
There you go, baby. Can't put anything by Lou. Tyler Mahle takes his wicked 1-7 mark into the game at a 6.04 ERA up against Gage Jump. He's a lefty, Lou. Often causes Giants troubles. Those lefties, 3-1 at a 2.37 ERA. And what I will point out to you, Lou, I don't know how his season has played out. Possibly one or more of those games would have been in Sacramento. I applaud any pitcher who comes into a game against us with a 2.37 ERA, Lou, this close to July, playing in that bandbox up there in Sacramento. So don't sneeze with this pitching matchup. Gage Jump, Tyler Mahle. The A's are the favorites in Vegas to come up with the win. I don't have the over-under at this point, but they are the early line favorites to
how about
win.
His last 2 road starts? First one was at Houston. They won 5-0, 6 2/3, gave up 3 hits, 3 walks, 3 Ks. Then he pitched at Chicago. His other one, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 6 strikeouts. Not easy. So this guy, and again, you brought up early a lefty. For some reason, the Giants just, and again, without Jung-Hoo Lee, you know, who hits lefties decent, who's going to play? And who's going to catch. Because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but probably the last 5 games and against lefties, we're having problems, especially the catching position. I mean, I know it's time for another subject, but our catchers, I think I saw over the last 11 games are batting 112. I'm sorry. And we talked about this earlier.
Say that again. Say it again, Lou. What's the average, Lou? Say it again.
112. I mean, we need the 7, 8, 9. Gilbert walks, but he doesn't really hit. You can't have it where you have 3 holes on the bottom of your lineup. It's impossible. And we all know about Chapman batting 6. There you go, 4. So it happens.
It was bad enough when we just had Bailey. JB talking our language. He comes in tonight saying, Tony talks to Devers every day. Surely Buster could have spent 5 minutes with the guy before fronting the media. It's amateur hour. That's a Glenn line from Giant Sports Talk if I ever heard one. It's amateur hour, Lou. Freaking amateur hour. Is what it is. A lot of things we've talked about tonight on the show that don't relate directly to the on-field product. And Lou, they are the talk of the town. We'd be doing it in the show, I believe, an injustice if we hadn't have brought them up. I don't want to make this a regular habit on future shows. We've covered it. And to your point, I don't want to be talking about this 2 weeks from now, Lou. There, we've talked about it. We've gotten some clips in from Buster. We know how he feels. We know, obviously, the Devers thing, Lou, it was no big deal. He didn't even need to go talk to him about it, didn't even get the slap on the wrist. Super salty, Lou, before we head out, you're saying that you want to trade Ray ASAP.
Before he gets injured, it's never been better. 2 straight starts for the first time all season. Got to do it. If I want Buster to do anything, you got to start trimming the fat, And I know Eric wants to wait until the trade deadline. The problem is you have Scooble, and by the time Scooble goes, which will be a last-second thing, it's going to be too late. And as we know with the Giants, except for maybe last year, over the last 5 or 6 years, they don't do anything. Ray's not going to sign back, okay? He's going to want a fat contract. You got to move him. Luis Arias, he's going to want his last big deal, 3 years, $50 million. We don't need another big thing. You got to move him. The Giants got to trim the fat, or when we play again in 2028, we're going to be 2 years older with mold everywhere.
And Sour Shoes, it's my show. So when it's about the WNBA, it's about the WNBA. Bye-bye. All right, Lou, we will be on tomorrow morning, bright and early. We're going to have the morning show, get you teed up for some Wednesday hump day baseball. It's the San Francisco Giants and Sacramento A's. Can you believe it, June? What is it now, Lou? Let me just double check.
June 23rd.
June 23rd. I'm finally on board calling them Sacramento A's. It's only taken me a couple of seasons, right? 38-31 of the A's. Giants, 32-46. Gage Jump, young, highly prospected lefty up against. Hang on. Tyler Malley. Lou, we'll see you tomorrow night. Postgame, hopefully we come up with a win. It's Giant Sports Talk Live. Lou, have a good night. Thanks for coming in tonight, brother.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Thank you, chat. And thank you for the super chats, guys.
Yeah, hell of a job as usual. Hell of a job. Keeping the lights on. Those of you who did give us a super chat. If you can't afford one, there's never any pressure. You're all welcome. Doesn't matter what fan you are. You just can't be, kind of incoherent. You can't be an idiot in our chat. That's all. Right, Sour Shoes? Sour Shoes is going back over to NorCal where he belongs. All right. We'll see you tomorrow, Lou. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Giant Sports Talk Live. Had a whole heck of a lot of fun tonight.
You've been watching Giant Sports Talk Live with Eric and Glenn, a Northern Lights Entertainment Broadcasting production.